What's up, y'all? I'm here to talk to you about the Cashflow Quadrant, and this is primarily been made, famous or more well known by a man named Robert Kiyosaki, who is, built significant wealth over the years by being an investor and a business owner. He's written several books, including some that you may have heard of before. I've talked about several times on my channel: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cashflow Quadrant. I'll include links to both of those books down below if you're interested. But today I'm going to talk to you specifically about something he refers to as the cash flow quadrant. Before we get into that, I would have really appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe below. I appreciate all those who have subscribed so far. It's really encouraging to keep putting out content for those that are enjoying it out there. So with the cash flow quadrant, it really changed the way I view, how to make money and build wealth over the course of my life. And the journey that my wife and I are on, it's really changed our mindset over the past year and a half or so, and moving forward, and how we utilize our time to make money, and then how we decide to invest our money or potentially grow businesses in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. I'm going to grab the whiteboard and show you guys a little bit about what the cash flow quadrant is all about. Alrighty, guys. So cash flow quadrant consists of these four different categories of people, and really how people acquire or use their money throughout life. Okay, so first one is the E quadrant, which stands for employees, right? So we're all trained growing up to go to school, get a great education, and get a nice, safe, secure job with great benefits. That makes us feel super safe. We can work harder and harder and maybe make a better salary as we go on and approach retirement. And the second one on the left side of the quadrant is the S quadrant. And the S stands for really a few things, but primarily self-employed and small business owners. And you can also group into this category highly skilled labor, such as a doctor, maybe a pilot, or a lawyer, things like that, where ultimately you're making a lot of money, but it takes a lot of time and energy to build those skills over time, which is great because we need those types of people in this world. And they are highly paid, and they should be. But again, they're trading a ton of time for money. So as you'll notice on the left-hand side, both the employees and the self-employed or small business owners are trading significant amounts of time throughout their life for money. So that's what we're going to be kind of a constant reminder in my video is on this side of the quadrant, you're trading time for money. And we're going to delve into what the other side of the quadrant is, which is no longer in that mindset of trading time for money. So as you transition up to the right side of the quadrant is the B quadrant. And B stands for business owners. And the main difference between small business and really the big business owners, typically the small business owners act more as a self-employment. So they are constantly working on their business, and they feel as if, and maybe this is the case, that if they were not to work on their business for 30 or 60 days, the business would completely fall flat on its face. And that is the case with a lot of small businesses, because people pour their heart and soul into their business but don't necessarily learn to grow a team of people as smart or smarter than them. That's how people transform into the bigger business up here, to where this can scale almost infinitely, to where this probably is limited to your own personal capacity. So as we move over here, you're still going to be laying the foundation and putting a lot of time in up front, but over the course of time, your rewards and the money you earn and wealth you build is going to grow exponentially, to where you're no longer trading a direct there's no longer a direct correlation between the amount of time you put in and the amount of money you make. Where over here, there's a direct correlation. You get paid by the hour, you get paid a salary, or even if you're a commissioned worker, you're still relatively capped on how much money you can typically earn. And the last portion of the quadrant is really the holy grail, and that is the I quadrant, or the investor quadrant. And the reason that quadrant is so important is because this ultimately is making our money work for us. You can invest in real estate, you can invest in other businesses, you can invest in the stock market, which ultimately is investing in bigger businesses, and ultimately having our money work hard for us. So again, This side of the quadrant, the left side, again, trading time for money, or as Robert Kiyosaki often puts it, is the poor side of the quadrant. Not that you'll be poor over here, but it's just talking about long-term wealth building. Poor as in you're not really financially free because you're constantly trading time for money. So you'll often see him put poor on this side of the quadrant and then the rich side over here. And he's primarily referring to his Poor Dad, Rich Dad, or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right, in the book that he wrote. But primarily the way I see it is, if you want to achieve financial freedom, you're going to have to get over to this side of the quadrant. And it doesn't mean you have to give up your current job as an employee today, because you can be an employee and you can be making $50,000 a year or $300,000 a year, and same thing with down here, and you can invest your money, right, as an investor. So you can still be an investor as an employee or self-employed, small business owner, or even a big business owner. But again, over here is where you're going to achieve financial freedom. So the sooner you can get over to this side of the quadrant, whether it's a small business, grow it into a bigger business, or you can be more of an investor full-time, these are where the significant, wealth builders live. They no longer trade their own time for money. They build businesses, scale, hire people, and are able to pay them, highly skilled labor salaries, and also invest their money into other areas to help grow their wealth long term. And that's how people create generational wealth, and that's how people attain financial freedom, is over here. So the mindset that I want to teach all of you guys to do, and that my wife and I have adopted over the past few years, and we're already seeing great benefits, primarily in real estate investing, is don't just mindlessly invest in a 401k, because that's not where the investor quadrant is. The investor quadrant is learning how to invest your money properly and how to calculate your risk in order to achieve the greatest return on your money. And again, if you just invest in a 401k, first of all, that's capped by the federal government limits of, I think, $19,000 for 2020 or $19,500. Even if you can contribute that much there, you're still going to be working until you're 65 years old. And will that be enough money then? Who knows? So again, the ultimate goal is to invest in stocks and real estate and in the market and other businesses, invest in people, invest in yourself and in your learning and your financial education, so you can make that transition over and ultimately achieve financial freedom. Another thing I wanted to mention about the cash flow quadrant, again, on the employee or small business, self-employed side, you are paying the most amount of taxes out of everybody. And that's just the way the tax law is written, right? I mean, ultimately, the tax is taken out and you pay the federal government before even getting paid yourself. So again, you move over to the business owner or investor side and you pay much less in taxes because there's tax breaks, and I guess it makes sense, right? You're building a business, you're creating jobs for people, so you're getting tax breaks and have tax incentives that way. And as an investor through real estate or the stock market and other investment avenues, you can pay little to even no taxes. So again, that's just one other benefit, is you're ultimately paying the highest amount of taxes over here as the employee or self-employed or small business owner, and you're paying less taxes as a business owner or investor. So last few thoughts I want to leave with you guys is something that really changed the way I think, and really my light bulb moment went off when I was reading the book Cashflow Quadrant, and Robert Kiyosaki's defining risk and how we're pretty much trained as we grow up through education, through parents most of the time, through teachers, through college, through jobs, is get your education, go to a nice expensive school, and then get the highest paying job you can get, which ultimately the higher paying jobs require more education or more time. If you think doctors, lawyers, and others that are trading significant amounts of time a week, or sales jobs where you have to put in 60 hours a week in order to hopefully earn more money, ultimately you're still trading time for money. And why is that less risky than investing in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 50s into what people may consider, risky assets such as real estate or stocks, things like that may fluctuate over time, but ultimately will help you build wealth long term? You can see it right now during the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, there's an unprecedented amount of jobless claims happening right now, and unemployment has skyrocketed because people can't go to work and businesses can't afford to pay their employees, and ultimately employees are the ones who are getting laid off, right? So at this point in time, you can probably see clear as day what is less risky, because the next time there's a pandemic, or the next time there's an economic downturn where businesses have to, forego employment or fire people or lay people off in order to stay afloat, ultimately you are without a job, and since you can't trade your time for money, you make no money. So your income is completely depleted. Now, if you transition over to the investor side or business owner, and you have different streams of income coming in, just talk about real estate, because in my mind, it's the number one way to build wealth long term and achieve cash flow and financial freedom. If you add a couple rental properties, it doesn't have to be a lot, at least to cover your expenses, right, and achieve financial freedom. Then if you lose your day job, you're good. I mean, you can wait. You might not be making as much money, but you'll be able to still live and pay for all your living expenses, put food on the table for your family and things like that. So again, just change your mindset, because longer term, I don't want you all to get to age 50, 60, 70 years old and be like, dang, I really wish I maybe took a little bit more risk or learned a little bit more in the financial world, got more financially educated, put money into real estate, put money into the stock market, dividend paying stocks, whatever. Because ultimately, that's how you're going to build wealth long term. And what I talk about on my channel is not about let's get rich. Definitely not let's get rich quick, right? Because ultimately, rich means something different to everyone, right? I encourage everyone to build wealth long term and to achieve financial freedom. And that financial freedom number, as I've talked about in previous videos, is different for everybody. So ultimately, you want to achieve your financial freedom number and then build wealth beyond that, so where you can do whatever you want with your time. Again, if you love your day job, great, keep doing it. But now you don't have the dependence of going to that job every day and having the stressor of bringing home money from each paycheck, every week or every month. So again, freedom of time to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, how you want, all that good stuff. But hey, if you like the video, guys, please throw me a like below. I appreciate it. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And please throw me a subscribe if you've watched a few videos and you like the content. I will hopefully continue to post great content that you guys enjoy and consume. But that's all for today. We'll see y'all next time.